Hi, I'm about to do a Raku firing in my trusty little electric kiln that I've named Beto. Of course, the luck that I have, it's raining today, but I have this little hut, and I am going to pull 3 pots out and put them in the barbecue grill to reduce. The first thing that I'm going to do that's very important is I'm going to turn the kiln off and unplug it. So that I don't get electrocuted, especially while it's wet out. In the barbecue grill, I have the holes closed, both on the bottom and the top, and I have shredded newspaper inside. The wire is going to go in there, red hot, burst into flames. I'm going to put the cover on it. And every 5 minutes, I'm going to do this thing called burping it, which is I take the lid off, reignite the flame, which it should do on its own, and just add some newspaper. I do that 3 times every 5 minutes, and then I take each piece out and spray it with water, and then douse it and cool it in that little bucket there. What I'm going to do right now is put on my vapor mask, and you will not be able to hear me talk after that. So that'll sit and cook for 5 minutes, and then I'll add some more paper. Okay, this is fired away for about 5 minutes. I'm going to burp it now. This will be the first burping. I'm going to do 2 more every 5 minutes, and then I'll pull it and I will douse it with water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reignite it, add some more paper, and put the lid back on. And the reason why we do this is to increase the reduction and the chemical reactions and get more colors out of the coppers and the metals that are in the glazes. Like I said, I'm going to do that 2 more times, and then I'll be taking them out. When I take them out, I'll be taking them one at a time and putting them on this old kiln shelf, and then I'm going to spray them with water. I'm going to go after areas where I think that we're going to get some color changes, peacocking and flashing. The science behind it is that the molecules are all rearranging, the chain of molecules are all rearranging themselves, and the oxygen that's in the oxides in the glazes and the air and the water are going to recombine and form color. So that's the reasoning behind it. Okay, so I've burped the pieces. I added fresh newspaper 3 times over 15 minutes, and now I'm going to take them out and spray them with water to try to enhance the colors, and then I'll be cooling them in that little bucket there. There are 3 pieces in, and all 3 are Refires, where I didn't like the way they came out the first time, so I added an Egyptian blue Raku glaze on top. So this had a lithium blue glaze originally. It came out a really dark mottled blue, which I really, it just had a lot of bare patches in it. So I wasn't that thrilled with it, but now look at how the Egyptian blue is reacting inside this bowl. It's really unbelievable. All different colors now. So I'm pretty much just going around and spraying areas where I think it might luster more and I might get more vibrant colors. Look at the peacocking going around. This is really amazing. The first time these were fired, they were fired in a propane kiln. And I do find that you do get different colors using either an electric kiln versus the propane to start. After these are done, I'll be washing them, scrubbing all of the carbon off of them, and then drying them. This is really amazing. I'm really digging this. A lot of green, which to me is kind of odd. I wonder if the Egyptian blue would be more turquoise in the propane kiln, because that's the way it came out on my test tile in a propane kiln. So now I'm just going to cool it in this bucket of water and then leave it out. It's still too hot to touch, and also if I touch it with a glove, the glove might leave an imprint on it. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. Now I'll take out the second one. I saw one of them, the Refires, has a crack in it, but I'm going to do it anyway just to show you. This one came out a very uninteresting yellow-green, and this is a little bit better. See, there's the Egyptian blue coming out. So let me see if I can work some magic. Look at the inside of that. Sometimes I find that if you can get the piece in the can upside down, you can get some really great colors by depriving the glaze of oxygen. But let's see if we could get some of these colors to shine. Like I'm seeing a blue coming out. See, we're getting a little bit of the Egyptian blue coming out now. Actually, it's pretty cool. See how these reds are enhancing? A lot of people don't believe in this, but I do. So since it's so cool, I don't think I even have to dunk this one. Let me just get the schmutz off it. Now we'll put it on the table so that we can admire it later. I don't see the crack. Maybe that was just an optical illusion. Look at this piece. Oh my God. Holy smokes. Will you just look at that? Look at the peacocking on it. Unbelievable. This one does have a crack. See? That, it's very hard on the piece to refire, especially in Raku. The next one is using a red clay. Same glazes, but a red clay. I'm not sure how. Yeah. Oh, look Look at this, would ya? That's the Egyptian glaze again. I also, this glaze in the recipe book said that it should be fired to 04 or 05 or 03, which is hotter than what I fired it to 06. I never do anything that they tell you you're supposed to do. So boring. So all those black lines will come out when I wash it. Look at the bottom. Holy Toledo. Now this probably means it was under fired. Because usually what happens in Raku glazes, just before it matures, it bubbles, and then it flattens out into a flat gloss, a runny, shiny gloss. If you overfire it, it'll bubble again. And your goose is cooked. But I really like that texture. Holy Toledo. This is a keeper, this glaze. Happy, happy, happy Raku. So I'm going to clean these up in the studio now, and then I'll show you the results. Okay, so in the time it took for me to wash these and put them in my oven at 200 degrees and dry them, which was about 25 minutes, I was able to put everything away, change my clothes, set all this up, which makes me a very big advocate of backyard firing in small loads, because you can do tests, you don't have the pressure of having to fill up a kiln, and you don't have to make a whole production out of it in your yard. So anyway, I wanted to show you the results of this firing, which were very exciting to me. Like I said, these were refirings of pieces that I did in a propane kiln, testing glazes that came out in ways in which I wasn't that happy. This one was a lithium blue glaze, which just came a very nice blue, but it ran and left bare spots, so it was very mottled. And the difference between the color of the bare clay and the blue was just too much for me. So I covered it in an Egyptian blue glaze recipe that I'm just trying out now. And it just is amazing. The variations and the way that it took care of all of that modeling. It is still modeled, but in a way that I really enjoy. There's a big variation in range of color and flashing. And what I thought was a crack was actually a glaze drip. This glaze really ran, as you can see it ran off the piece onto the shelf, and when I pulled it, there was this like candy cane of glaze that was from the kiln to the reduction can, and this is just a little drip of the glaze. So what I thought was a crack wasn't. So this piece is intact, and I'm very pleased with it. And I will definitely do this again. I wonder if it will be even more different if I apply just the blue lithium with this Egyptian over it and then fire it in the oxidation kiln. This piece here I refired because the glaze was applied way too thin. It was a green copper glaze, and it was so thin that you see this rough texture is really the clay body. It's not the glaze. So I put another thin coat of the Egyptian blue over this green copper glaze. It's very hard to glaze on top of an already glazed piece. What I do is I heat it up to about 200 or 350 degrees in an oven, and then apply it so that it steams and so it dries immediately onto the body. So you can see this is the Egyptian blue here running off the piece, but check out all of this reduction and flashing and peacocking. It's a very interesting piece. It's still a little too thin for my taste and a little too green for my taste, but that's very subjective. This piece is done with red clay. Those are done with a Raku clay. This is a red stoneware with medium grog. And it again is a refire. The inside originally was a mottled, was supposed to be a mottled turquoise blue, which came out a turquoise green and no modeling at all. And the bottom was the Egyptian turquoise, which was very spotty. So I reapplied it here and here, and this is very interesting to me. It looks like it underfired. This went to cone 06, where the glaze really is supposed to go to 04. Once again, I really like it, and it's very interesting to me, and I especially love the texture. I love the way it feels. So these are examples of my motto of fire it till you like it or it breaks. I think that I like all these three, so I won't fire them again. I have two more examples of that motto here. These were two bowls that were duds from, this one was supposed to go in a salt kiln, and it went in a Shino kiln instead. And it had a flashing slip with a glaze just dipped and running down it. So it was supposed to come out more like this butterscotchy rich color. And because it went into the Shino kiln instead of the salt kiln, it came out this really unpleasant yellowish matte offal. And plus we have these finger marks on it that are really not pleasing to me. So what I did was I heated the piece and I painted on one of my favorite, very neutral in color, very dependable in action, cone 6 glazes, just in the parts where it was matte, and refired it. And it came out nice. It kind of resurrected it. I am still entertaining putting a luster on it and seeing what that does, but these finger marks just sort of break the mood of the piece. So this one is going to be in the house, in use in the kitchen. This one was just a dud from start to finish. It was supposed to be a Shino slip, and I dipped it and it never dried. I tried drying it in a drying closet, I tried drying it with a heat gun, I tried drying it with a paper towel, and it just wouldn't dry. It was pouring rain that day. And when it went into the kiln, it toasted a little bit, but the rest of it is just awful. So I put the same very dependable glaze over it, and it's still awful. So this one will be pressed into service in some utilitarian way in my house, because I only keep the duds around. So all in all, 3 out of 5 ain't bad.